Hey guys, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House, and today I have 5 projects for you. Stick around for the last one because it is my favorite. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps me out. I want to get to 5,000 subscribers and I'm so close. So let's start off with project 1, and I'm just going to make a plant stand out of this. I really like the color and the design on this, so I don't want to do anything to alter that. But I am going to add some little metal feet to this that I purchased off at Amazon, and the link will be below. And so what I did was I started out by just drilling the holes for that first, because I didn't want to split the wood. It wasn't really that thick, so I didn't want to kind of split that wood. I didn't know if it was going to go in that direction. So I pre-drilled those holes and I just stuck a little foot on each corner, and it's as simple as that. Like I said, I really loved the color of this and I really loved the design of it, and I just wanted it to be some sort of riser, or in my mind I was thinking that it could be like a plant stand, and I like it. I really do. The design is great. I wouldn't hang it on my walls, but as a plant stand I love it. So project 2, I'm calling Footed Elegant Risers, and again, these are some parts from that chair that we discussed last week. And so I'm going to start off by just removing those dowels at the end. And here I'm just showing you that I'm using like a chisel in case you did not want to use one of those little mini table cutter thing. So I just removed it with a chisel and a hammer, and then I just sanded that with a really heavy grit sanding paper. I'm just gonna wipe it off with some all-purpose cleaner, and then I'm going to move in with my Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint in Briar Patch. Again, I'm still loving the greens, so I think through most of the projects today I'm using some form of green paint. So with this, I'm doing 2 separate ones, so I'm going to paint them 2 separate colors. One is going to be that Briar Patch, and the other one is going to be a bluegrass, but they are both Dixie Belle. They look very close in color, but when you see them side by side, you see that one is a little bit bluer. So I'm just going to do a couple of coats on each of these, front and back, using my heat gun to dry that in between coats. The next one, I'm moving on to, like I said, to the bluegrass, and when you look at it right here, it does look very close, but once it dries, there is a definite difference between the two. You guessed it, I'm going to put some metal feet on here, and I did link those below as well. And I did purchase these both off of Amazon. After I got the feet attached to that, I got my Lost Garden IOD transfers. I picked out one for each. They're a little bit different, and then just proceeded to place those onto the riser. This would actually go nice by my sink to hold my bottle that holds my dish liquid and stuff like that, because I don't really need a wide type of thing there, and I prefer to have something slimmer just because I don't have a lot of counter space. So I just apply these and burnish them on. The next product I'm gonna grab is the Amy Howard's matte sealer, and I've talked about this before. I love this. If you're looking for a true matte finish on something, this is the product for you. I just feel like I've tried other matte sealers and they've always left some sort of sheen on there. This does not. It's kind of amazing, I think. So and also too, I don't know why, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, why Amy Howard's products don't get so much play. They are wonderful, and they really make a very authentic, creative finish. So So project 3 is some sconces, and again I grabbed a couple of pieces of those chairs, and I'm going to start off by removing that bottom piece, and I am going to use my mini table saw for this. So I just removed that, and then the next thing I'm going to do is sand those down very well. These are in really good shape. There's no pilling or the, there's no splintering. The wood is in really good shape and stuff. So I just wanted to sand them down so that it would have a smoother finish. So I'm going to grab my casting resin in the tan, and also the this is a mold by IOD, and this is called Conservatory Labels, I want to say. So I'm going to mix up some of that resin, and I'm just going to use that very top mold, and this is the quick set resin. So I'm just going to pour one, let that set up, and then pour another one. I really like using this tan quick set resin for some reason. I like it better than the other one. It just seems like I have more control pouring that out. So I'm going to grab my Type Bond premium wood glue, and I'm going to glue those resin pieces down to the top of those wood pieces. Just using my finger to spread that glue out. I'm just going to spread it out to the edges and then press those down. Once I have those set, I just grabbed a little paintbrush, and I'm just going to kind of remove any of that excess glue, and then I actually let those dry and set up for a couple of hours, and then I'm going to grab that Dixie Belle bluegrass and start painting. Once I started painting that, it felt like it was falling a little flat, so I decided to mix some of that paint with some baking soda, not a whole bunch, just enough to give it a little bit of texture. So I'm going to pounce that on all over that wood piece and on top of the resin piece, front and back, just drying that with my embossing gun. So once I have those dried, I'm going to grab my Etiquette's IOD gilded transfers. I'm going to pick out 2 identical transfers, and I'm just measuring the bottom out so that I can place these evenly just at the bottom. So once I have those down where I want them, I'm going to grab my Jolie Clear finishing wax, and I'm just going to go over those wood pieces front and back, just making sure they're completely covered. I put that clear on because I am going to add this DIY dark wax, and I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to remove that dark wax as much as I wanted to, that I wasn't going to have to contend with it staying really dark on those wood pieces. So I just apply that and then wipe it back with a rag. And really I'm doing this, and it gives it more of an antique look and antiques that resin piece. So once I have that where I want it, I'm going to grab my Empire Gold gilding wax. This is my favorite. If you've been watching me, you know that I cannot go a day without using this on something. So I just using my finger, I'm going to apply that to those resin pieces, and then also just skim around the edge of the front of that wood piece. So I have these sconces that I purchased several years ago, and I've never really hung them on anything because they're pretty heavy, and you have to like apply them kind of with a lot of screws, and I didn't really want to screw them anywhere in my wall and then be stuck with them there. So I thought by adding them to these pieces that I could then hang them with just one nail and it would be fine. So I added a hanger on the back of these, as you'll see, and that's it. I love the way that these turned out, the color of them, and just along with that brass, they're just so beautiful. So project 4 is these plaques, these fruit plaques, and you've seen me do these many times. I've done them with the Dixie Belle patina paints, and I've done them with the terracotta paint, but here I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna use a little bit different color, but first I'm gonna fix this chipped piece at the corner with some I think this is like a Loctite super glue. So once I have that fixed and the glue's all dry, I'm gonna go in with Dixie Belle's Thicket, adding just a little bit of the baking soda to that, not too much, and I'm going to stir that in, of course, and then begin to pounce on these plaques. It doesn't need a whole lot of texture on there because the plaques already have tons. So I'm just going to pounce through, making sure that I get full coverage for both. I'm going to do front and back. I do about 2 coats, drawing in between the coats with my embossing gun. If I had to do it all over again, I think I probably would have went for a darker color. This is a little too muted for me, but I can see people that don't have maybe like very dark colors in their kitchen, it might be more their style. So once I have that all dry, I grab my bare decorating wax in white, and I'm just going to use a soft brush and apply that all over the plaques front and back, and then using a damp paper towel to kind of wipe that back. Once I have the white wax on there, I kind of like them a little bit better. So I'm going to do both the same way. And then after, I decide that I'm going to go ahead and apply another coat of wax because I kind of want it to be a little bit more covered with the white look on there, whitewash look. Once that's done, again, I'm going to grab my Empire Gold and just using my finger and some with a paintbrush and just begin to highlight all of that detail. I think even if you wanted to do these in a darker, like gray slate color, they would look pretty in that as well. You could see there all the detail that gold brought back. So project 5, ooh, this was a project. So a long time ago, this was part of the lot that I bought in vases, and you have seen I've been doing them here and there, but I tried a technique on this. I didn't like it, so I sanded down what I could get off, and then I took it out and spray painted it with this chiffon color. I'm gonna grab my casting resin again in the tan, and using a couple of different molds, one from Redesign by Prima called Blossoming Spring, and one by IOD called Blossom. I'm going to use all of the Prima. I'm going to make all of that, and then I'm just going to make certain elements from the IOD mold to kind of fill in where I want a little bit more detailed there. So just using that, it's equal parts of A and B like all the others, and giving it a stir. And like I said, I don't know, this seems like a little bit thicker than the clear quick set resin, and I just am able to pour it a little neater, I think. It was probably my imagination, but that's just how I feel about it. So once those have gotten a little set, but before they're too they've hardened all the way, I just remove them from the mold and then quickly place those over the vase so that they can harden with that the vase shape on there. I was able to kind of do this fairly well, but I did still have some gaps in there for some reason, I guess, especially with the bigger one. I guess the birds set up really fast, and so it was harder for me to get those to kind of wrap around the vase. The smaller pieces were fine. I was able to kind of get those where I wanted, and then just tape those into place. So I put those on there and then let them sit and let the resin harden up. I think I let them just go overnight. It normally doesn't take that long, but I went on to other things. So removing the tape, you can see how they've kind of formed to that vase. And now I'm going to proceed to glue those on. So I glued these in 2 different sets. So I did the bigger pieces first and let the glue set on that overnight, and then went back and removed the tape so that I could see then where I actually kind of wanted to place those smaller pieces, or remember where I had placed those. So I'm just applying the glue. I kind of feathered that out with the paintbrush, and then I'm going to reapply the tape. So I did have some glue kind of seep down and dry, but that was really easy to peel off of there. So I was able to then just move on and start kind of gluing those smaller pieces into place. Once I had all of those pieces set and everything was dry, I grabbed my modeling paste and put some of that into a syringe. You've seen me do this with the blue vase that I did before and some other projects, but I just loaded that up and then put the tip on the top of that, and just then put the plunger back in there and kind of pressed all the air out, and now I'm ready to go. So again, I'm just going to use that tip to fill in. You can see all that gap there, to fill in all of the gaps that I see, and kind of make this look like a cohesive one piece, not filled with a bunch of gaps and things like that. So here's my tip. Wet a paper towel, and because you're going to be using this brush to kind of feather that modeling clay out and remove the excess, you're going to get buildup on your brush. And so when you clean your brush on a paper towel that's damp, it just keeps that brush kind of neater, doing its job better as far as smoothing that modeling clay out. So my first thought on this was that I was going to use a yellow paint color, and that was my thought right up until this point. So I let that dry completely. As you can see, there's no gaps there, everything is sealed. And then I had a crazy moment and I went in for this briar patch again. And I'm going to mix some of that with the baking soda, because again, this is all about texture and, just making that vase look old and look like it's like a clay type of vase. So I put this down, and my heart is kind of dropping at this point because I'm not getting the warm fuzzies, and I'm just kind of like, okay, well, at this point I'm like, I gotta trust the process. It's just paint. If I don't like it when I'm done with it, I can always paint over it. So I just began the process of applying coats and getting all of those little nooks and crannies painted over, making sure I have everything covered, and You got to make sure that you turn stuff like this over, because when you turn it over, you'll see everything that you kind of missed underneath there. So I always try to make sure that when I have a lot of detail stuff like this, that I turn whatever it is over to get the bottom of those molds. So I just proceeded to get all the coats, and once I have all that dry, I grab my home decor white wax and clear wax, and you've seen me do this. I'm gonna mix these two together. You could see some white spots on that vase, but that is actually just the baking soda that's kind of coming through out of that paint. I'm not sure why it does that. For me, this baking soda is actually a really fine milled cosmetic grade baking soda, so I think maybe that's why it does that. I don't normally have problems when I'm just using, Arm & Hammer baking soda or whatever. So I begin applying that wax combination on, and with a paper towel I just then wipe it back. I'm just doing sections at a time, and also replacing the paper towel once it gets too saturated with the wax. I use a smaller paintbrush to kind of remove that wax from some of the crevices that I can't get it out with the paper towel, and that's what you saw there. So after I get that all covered with that wax, I go back in with just clear wax, and I'm adding some of that to the vase. I felt like it was just a little bit too much. It was really blotchy, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And I wanted to remove some of that, or smooth some of that out. So I just applied that clear wax with a brush, and then began using a damp paper towel to kind of smooth some of those sections out. So once I have that all done, I grab some of that antiquing wax, and I'm just going to pour just a little bit into a cup, and then I'm going to add some of that white and clear wax combo with that and stir it, adding the white and clear till I get it to the color that I want. Taking a smaller brush, I'm just going to then start applying that darker wax combo into all of that detail, and using a paper towel to wipe it back. I'm not going ham on this. I'm just being very methodical about not leaving clumps of that dark wax everywhere. I still want some of that green and white to kind of show through there. So, and this is not very dark. Since adding the white and the clear, it mellowed that color out a lot. So I'm actually adding this all around the vase, just making sure that I'm feathering that out really well with that paper towel, and not leaving any really harsh dark edges on that. I thought right now, looking at it, I was like, this looks pretty good even without the gold, but I gotta have it. I gotta do it. I just felt like it would bring out a lot of that detail in those molds. So again, getting that Empire gold gilding wax, just using my finger, I'm just going to start applying that to the molds. Now, normally I don't go really dark or heavy on the gold with this kind of stuff, but I think this is my exception to the rule. I felt like with that really dark green and that gold that it would just look better. That was just my opinion. So I went a little bit darker than I normally, or heavier than I normally do. And I actually did use a brush. I didn't cover those molds completely because, like I said, I still wanted that green and white to kind of show through there. I just really wanted to highlight that, but I wanted it to be more of a shinier gold than just kind of like a muted, faded type gold. So here I'm just using a brush and I'm kind of going around the sides of those molds to bring that out a little bit, and also to all the little tiny details that my finger could not reach or touch. So I was able to use this brush for that. And that's how it turned out. I'm so happy with this. This was a nail biter. I just did not think that I picked the right color. I just knew I was going to have to repaint it, but I just kept going and I'm really happy with the results. So let me know which project was your favorite. Let me know what you think of this vase. If you think that I should have painted it a different color. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Like I said, I want to get to 5,000 subscribers, and you guys were really great by upping my subscribers from my last video. Thank you so much for watching and spending your precious time with me. I know how important it is, and I will see you soon.